Hi, I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson, and welcome to UBC's Next Big Thing. My guest today is Briar Craig. He is the Associate Professor in the Department of Creative and Critical Studies here at UBC.
That's right.
You're an artist, you're an award-winning artist, actually, and you really focus in screen printing.
That's right.
Maybe you could explain to us what that is.
Screen printing is a stencil making process, really. A screen is a frame with a mesh over top of it, very much like a very fine door screen kind of mesh. And we create, whether photographically or with paper or with other kinds of hand-drawn processes, stencils that will not allow ink to go through that fabric and be pressed onto paper. And we just sit through a series of layers and color and so on. We just sort of build up imagery. Quite often very photographic imagery and quite often very handmade imagery.
So what drew you to that particular style of art?
You know, I have to say that when I started in my BFA program back in Ontario at Queen's University, I had the most dynamic instructor that in day one just made me think I want to be a printmaker because he's a printmaker. And I sort of blindly followed this sense that I was always going to be a printmaker. And when I actually got the chance to make work in the media of printmaking, it just made sense to me. And I think in layers, and it just makes sense.
Wow, that's interesting. So just how you think is easy to express.
For sure, yeah, and it's that thinking in terms of layers is something that's very difficult for a lot of people to kind of wrap their heads around. Once they get it, it makes total sense. But.
So how do you come up with your ideas for these prints? Because I've seen some of your work around campus here, actually. Some of it's on display, and I've tried to get some of yours at some of the art events, but I've never been fortunate enough to do that. But what gives you the incentive?
I will glibly say that I find all of the work that I make. I'm really interested in the found experience, whether I'm the kind of person, if I'm walking down the street and I see a crumpled newspaper on the ground where I can only read half of the headline, I'll spend the rest of the day trying to figure out a funny way to complete that headline. And so the things that inspire me tend to be the things that I see that provide partial bits of information, like a half of a headline or a found Post-it note. And it doesn't really have a context anymore. It's just crumpled on the ground. And to me, it creates a narrative. You see a list of what people wanted to do during the day creates a weird narrative that I really like to play along with.
So do you write down that idea? Do you grab a picture of it? Do you just remember it?
I gather all kinds of things. You have no idea how dirty the insides of my pockets are.
Oh, no.
It's kind of awful.
Oh, but it's a great way to approach something that you love to do. So how do you take your love for art and, offer that up to the students and get them as excited about what you do as your original professor, your instructor did for you?
I don't know if I've ever been able to do that, but if I have at all, it's just because I'm really passionate about what I do. It's exciting to make prints. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I think when you're explaining that or demonstrating that to a class of students, they get caught up in it, and if they're going to, they get caught up in it. And I'm around all the time. Our studio is kind of a very lively place, and I work there as well. And I think the students being able to see a professor actually making their own work as well, right there beside them, really helps to make them get excited about what they could be doing.
And it makes it real for them. It's hands.
Yeah.
They're seeing it done, so they're not afraid of it. Probably too is helpful.
If I could grant every professor a studio in the studios with the students, I would. But it's always a space issue.
Always. You're an award winner. We talked about that. What's it like to win, and how do you get your work out there so people can judge it? Most
of the time, printmaking is work on paper, and paper is very easy. You can roll it up and stick it in a tube and mail it to different places around the world. And in fact, the printmaking community is very much a global community, in as much as we all need, as a printmaker, whether you're making lithographs or etchings or screen prints or relief prints like woodcuts and things, you need presses, you need equipment that you really couldn't afford on your own. So quite often printmakers get together in groups and create a communal studio. And then around that, there's always the opportunity for exhibitions and things. And so there are huge printmaking exhibitions in Poland. There's huge ones in Japan and in South America and a couple in Canada, which we've started here in the Okanagan as well, to try to bring in work from other places. So basically, I just respond to calls for entry, submit my work for jury, and if they're juried into the exhibition, that's great. And if they're not, they send them back.
Do you know how many awards you've won?
I don't know. I wish I did.
Did
That
you
would
stop
be a really
counting?
Good, no, I wish that it was something that I would have to take my shoes, my socks off and count on my toes as well as my fingers, but I can't remember. I don't really worry about awards that much.
There must be a sense, though, of recognition and a sense of acknowledgement for a passion that you have.
For
by
sure,
winning
yeah.
this
No,
award.
I have to say it's really a wonderful affirmation that what you're doing is worthwhile, and just to see your own work in the context of this global exhibition where you see works from Japan, from Poland, from South America, from China, and so on, along with yours. It's really quite wonderful. You get a sense of yourself and your place in the world, and the kind of way you make artwork, as it's compared to everybody else's.
And just even to represent Canada
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
community is pretty exciting. What's the next big thing in screen printing?
Well, in screen printing, we've been evolving over the last number of years to making use of more modern technology. So instead of complicated photographic processes where you'd have to actually go into a darkroom to make a stencil that you could photographically put onto a screen, now we use computers to do that. It's sped things up a lot. It's made them a lot less expensive. And it's opened up all kinds of opportunities for the printmaking community, particularly screen printers, to make photographic works and to do higher end, more fine detailed things that we couldn't do before. But I really think the next big thing is a kind of globalization. It's one of the pillars of UBC Okanagan, or UBC, to have students have these global opportunities. And again, I really stress exhibiting artwork even to the undergraduates. And so quite often our students from second year on are put in a position where they have opportunities to exhibit their work internationally. And so for me, that's the next big thing, is to continue doing that. And again, we've organized some exhibitions with partnerships with the Kelowna Art Gallery, the Lake Country Art Gallery, and the Vernon Public Art Gallery, bringing international work here for our students to see as well.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
We've ran out of time. Is there a place that somebody could go to find out more about exhibitions that might be coming our way
Our
here?
website, we try to advertise things on our website whenever possible, the Creative Studies website, and that's probably the best place.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming today.
Okay, thank you for having me.
And I'll continue to appreciate your fine art.
Okay, thanks.
That's it for today, and look forward to seeing you next time.